Hi, my name's Andy Rouse, and some of you will have expected to see me on the Olympus stand this afternoon at the photography show, talking to you and showing you pictures. Well, I'm sorry, as you know, it's been postponed until September, so we'll see you there then. You've got me instead answering a few questions that have been posted to the Olympus Facebook page. So without further ado, let's get on with it. First question here is from Andy Miles. If the government stopped all foreign travel, where would be the one place in the UK you'd most want to photograph wildlife? Well, I know there are specific places you go to do things. I don't do it like that. I go for species only that I really want to photograph and I really enjoy photographing. At the moment, it's hares. I love photographing hares. I really enjoy photographing them. I love the whole thing about the courtship and how the ring starts to form during the morning. You have to guess which one's the female, which ones are the big hares that are going to probably win. I like to see that. About 10 o'clock, you get a bit of fisticuffs, a bit of chasing here, there and everywhere. And at the end, you might get a little bit of mating, and I won't do the hand signals for that. And I just find that whole thing exciting. It's really cool to photograph and cool to watch. Black grouse, of course, well, not only are they stunning, the amazing plumage they've got, but they're fun. The calling, the antics, the fighting. It's great. And as well, I love the experience of it. You know, I have to get up the hide well beforehand. I have to get into the hide at night so I don't disturb them coming in into the morning. You can't just walk up onto grouse. They fly everywhere. So I have to sleep overnight, wake up at twilight. I can hear the grouse coming in. I can hear the fighting. Often I can't see them, but it's the excitement of being there on the ground with wildlife. It's great. And I love black grouse. Now, both black grouse and hares, I have virtually no sights for at the moment. All my sights have gone for various reasons. So if any of you know any, please let me know because I'd love to find some. But hares, black grouse right now are what I'm going to do. As I progress into the spring, I'm going to progress towards roe deer again. I love roe deer. I love one-on-one stalking. One of the big problems I had with all species is the noise that the cameras make will disturb them. This year, for the first time, I'm shooting silent. So on the Olympus, I'm going to have my M3 or 1X, and I'm going to have the 300 f4, which is an effective 600, and it's going to be in silent mode. So it's been brilliant so far. It's going to be absolutely brilliant on stuff like roe deer, where I might actually get more than one shot. And normally it's one-on-one with the roe deer. It's your skill in fieldcraft against the roe deer's skill at finding you out. And the roe deer always has everything stacked in its favour. But just once, sometimes you get lucky. So that's why I'm going to do roe deer. And if you're another, I know, Andy, you didn't really ask this, but what do I want to photograph in the UK that I haven't? Goshawk in the wild. That's really what I want to do. I've done goshawk in Finland. Absolutely love them. Amazing. I want to do goshawk in the UK. It's just a question of me. I know where several territories are. I've got to find the plucking post. I'm not interested in nests and any of that. That I leave well alone. I go to a plucking post where they bring their prey to pluck it. And they can sit and preen and do cool stuff like that. If I find that, I can get a hide long enough away with a decent big lens, and there I go. And then it's just a question of fieldcraft and spending a lot of time trying it. So I can't wait to have a go at that. Now, Andy asked a second question as well. He's very keen. Well done, Andy. He said, are there any animals that you would love to capture on camera but haven't managed to do yet? Well, do you know, I'm not really a tick lister. I don't really want to go around the UK and do, today I've done this, today I've done that. I'm not that. There's certain animals that just do something and I just really want to get close to them. The big ones have always been wolves and lynx. Last summer I did wolves. It was amazing. I was in the hide for 3 days at a stretch with a little break in the middle of the day. It was fantastic to spend this time in the hide being totally silent with a silent camera. You have to be silent all the time. You can't make any noise. You can't have your phone on. You can't do anything because the wolf can be watching or listening right behind the hide to what's going on. You never know. So you've always got to be switched on and alert. It's silent outside. I absolutely love being in there. It's just incredible. And when the wolf appears, it was just phenomenal. I just absolutely loved it. Now, the other thing I mentioned is the lynx. I have never photographed the lynx in the wild, ever. Some lucky people in the world have, and you are awesome as far as I'm concerned. I would love to join you in that club, but all of mine have been captive. I'm doing lots of research now to find the best places to go and the best people to go with to try to photograph the lynx. Of course, we don't have them in this country, or we may have a few wandering around, but nothing I know really much about. So I'm trying to find out the best places to go, and maybe in this summer, I'll get my first stab at wild lynx, and I can't wait. Even just to see it, it's the most amazing looking cat. It's just incredible. So that's my dream. And you always must have targets in your photography. You always must have a dream to go to, and the lynx is mine. All right, next question is from Nicola Fox. Nicola says, how does it feel when so many of the animals are looking at you like your lunch? Well, I guess it does seem like that. It seems that I just photograph big predators and the big predators are looking to eat me. Of course they're not. Now, I've been sat in a Jeep here. Tiger's been 5 foot away. The tiger's more scared of me than I am of it. It's not going to jump in and eat me. I'm not much of a meal anyway, he says, pulling in his abs. I'm not much of a meal anyway, but you know, at the end of the day, the tiger doesn't see me as food. It's more scared of me. If I make a sudden move on my camera, they get scared and they go away. So it shows you that, you know, really, we have to be really careful when we're next to these animals. If I got out of the vehicle and there was a cheetah on the mound, the cheetah would run to the horizon. I can guarantee it. So these animals are not a threat to me at all, but of course you're never complacent when you deal with animals like rhinos, black rhinos for example, elephants, things like that. The one predator that we never ever give any kind of chance to, and we're always ultra careful, is the polar bear. The polar bear is an opportunistic hunter. It will take advantage of any situation. I've had a few polar bears that definitely were looking for an easy meal, and that's not going to be me or any of my clients, I can tell you that. So I've always been really careful with polar bears. I've got the best experts on the ground with me, and we never ever take any kind of gamble with a polar bear when you're walking on the land. I never think, oh, I wonder what's behind that rock over there. I'll go and have a look, because it might not be something that you want to see. Whilst it does look, Nicola, in my pictures, that I certainly like getting close to these big animals, trust me, I also don't want to die. And you might remember in the past I did a TV series called Wildlife Photographer, and I apologise for you having to watch that in the old days. But, you know, in those days I would lay down in front of elephants and walk up to hippos and rhino. I just don't do that anymore, because you learn with age that you don't really need to do that if you want to live. So I hope that answers your question, Nicola. Probably not, probably random, but anyway, it's the best you're going to get from me. So thank you, Nicola, for that one. Here's a question from Mark. Hi, Andy. I'd like to know how you process your images. Do you take RAW or JPEG, and do you use any noise reduction? That's from Mark Sandbach, or however you want to pronounce it. Apologies, I'll just call you Mark for now. Right, well, first of all, I start the workflow in the camera. Yep, when I'm taking pictures, I've got mirrorless, no excuse for getting the exposure wrong and getting the white balance wrong. So that's the first thing I do in camera. I get them both right in there, so that I don't have to worry in the workflow when I download them about looking for things that are overexposed or underexposed. It should all be perfect. And if it's not, then you shouldn't have a mirrorless camera, because that's one of the brilliant benefits that it gives to you. So I take the card out, put it into card reader, download it onto the Mac or onto a card or whatever by Photo Mechanic. Brilliant piece of software I've used all the time. It's a central point of control and launcher. I use it to rename the images, keyword the images, caption the images, and then I go into the cull and I will massacre the images. I will go through them very, very fast. I can do 1,000 in 20 minutes. I'm looking for things where the composition isn't right, the eyes half closed, the ears down, or there's an annoying thing in the background. I'm looking for the real superstar images, because the cull is the most important thing. You only want to work on those small percentage of images that are great. You don't want to work on images that are average. Forget that. Only work on images that are great. So I'll whack, delete all my images, delete, until I get this tiny core of images that are all my 5 stars. I will drag them one by one then into Capture One. I love Capture One. For me, it's the best RAW converter. It gives the best RAW output from Olympus cameras, I think. And then I will load that. I won't do a lot in Capture One. I'll probably move the highlight slider a bit to maybe, tone down the highlight. Maybe there's a strong backlight somewhere. I may do a little bit of the creative stuff, bend a curve, this kind of stuff. But I really won't do a lot. I'll load that then into Photoshop. I'm not a Photoshop evangelist, but I do know Photoshop very well from a basic point of view. All my Photoshop is painting with light. So I use a pen, a graphics tablet. I use the oldest techniques imaginable. I don't use any modern techniques. And I give myself a 5-minute limit. That's the maximum time I'll spend on Photoshop. And I do what Ansel Adams does, a bit here, bit there, bit there, bit there. There's no such thing as a global adjustment. I have a vision to where I'm going. When I'm processing the picture, I know exactly where I'm going, what I'm looking at, and what I'm trying to achieve at the start. So I won't just jump in. I'll sit back and think, this is a portrait, this is a wide angle, this is going to be one of those blacklight pictures because I've shot it right, more on that later, etc., etc. And it's also about the message that you want the picture to give. So I'll look at that. When I've finished it in Photoshop, it will be a 48 to 52 megabyte TIFF. That's what I need for my agency. I'll save that. I'll back up the RAW, back up the TIFF. And at the end then, I'll run an action on that directory that will create a HD file of each one, so a 1920 file, and a high-res JPEG for the agents, back off all that, clean it all out, do a bit of housekeeping, do a bit of a jig, have a celebration drink, and then I'm done and ready for the next shoot. So there, Mark, is my kind of random workflow. I could kind of do that in a seminar, and maybe that's a really good idea that I should, but I hope it helped you. You know, the big thing to remember about workflow basically is tailor it to your own needs. There's no rush. Don't get your images out because you think somebody's desperate to see them. They're not. Just make sure they're the best that you can possibly make them. And remember, on your vision and style, it's your picture. So make sure that you are showing pictures that you like, that you don't care about what anyone else thinks. People will always slag you off. There's always trolls everywhere. They're always trolling me. Look, as long as you like your picture, that's the best thing in the world. People can give you constructive criticism, but they have no right to say anything negative about it. And if they do, just block them. That's what it's for. But be proud of your images that you show, and make sure that the images that you show reflect the message that you want to give, and hopefully your love of wildlife too. Now that's the end of part 1. I know, there's always a part 2. Part 2 is over on my YouTube channel. So if you look on my YouTube channel now and subscribe, please, you will find part 2 with 3 more really, really good questions and long and rambling answers. So I hope that was good. See you later.